Well, hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you all of the things you need to look out for when you hit your 30s as far as your skin. That's right, there are a lot of things that happen around your 30s that start to show up on your face and things that you might start noticing. A lot of my audience, a majority of my audience is already in their 30s or early 30s, and I do also have a large chunk of my audience that's in their late 20s. So I thought this would be a good video. Share with you guys some things to be aware of and how you might want to change up your skincare routine and skincare products based on hitting your 30s. First of all, one of the things you might notice is that your skin starts to look a little more dull, not quite as radiant. And this is because as we get older, the rate of our skin cell turnover starts to slow down. When you're a child, your skin turns over in about 14 days, and by the time you get to your 30s, it takes around 28 days. So it's much slower, and as a result, you don't shed the skin cells as quickly, and so they kind of build up and your skin looks dull. How do you deal with this? A simple solution is to consider incorporating an exfoliating acid into your skincare routine. This can be in the form of an alpha hydroxy acid moisturizer. I've talked about a product that I really love, the Derma Overnight Radiant Peel or the Exuviance AP Performance Peel. These are both great options for helping to increase the rate of that turnover of those skin cells and give your skin a more radiant look. Alpha hydroxy acids also will help with skin hydration. Now, if you have really sensitive skin, you might want to choose a polyhydroxy acid moisturizer. These are great for really sensitive skin for exfoliating the skin, and they can be used daily if you'd like. If you have very oily skin, you might choose to use a product like a face wash or a leave-on product that has salicylic acid in it. Salicylic acid is great for folks with really oily skin and is a good chemical exfoliant. But incorporating an acid into your skincare routine, depending on your skin type, can really help improve the look of your skin, give you a more radiant, youthful appearance. Speaking of moisture retention, the number 2 thing that you might start noticing is that your skin is a lot more dry than it used to be. The reason for this is partly because that delay in skin cell turnover makes it so that the skin is just not as good at holding hydration because you've got all this dead built up stuff that's kind of taking its sweet time to slough off. The other reason is that as we get wiser or older, our skin stops making as much hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is a component of the skin that holds water in the skin and gives it that kind of plump, firm look. And the skin is not quite as efficient at producing natural moisturizing factors that constitute the skin barrier as we get into our 30s. So how to combat that? Well, getting back to point number 1, incorporating an alpha hydroxy acid or polyhydroxy acid or even salicylic acid into your skincare routine can really help in removing some of that built up dry stuff and helping overall skin barrier function and skin hydration. However, using those ingredients too much can lead to actually worsening dryness because as you're removing some of that dead layer, you can start exfoliating. If you're doing that too much, you can create a situation where you're losing too much water out of your skin. So keep it conservative. A few nights a week is a good option for alpha hydroxy acids. Polyhydroxy acids are generally gentle enough to be used on a daily basis, and salicylic acid is something that can be used kind of as frequently as you need, but if you find that you're getting too dry with it, back off to less frequently. So it's kind of something you have to tinker around with as far as the frequency, but yes, long story short, those exfoliating acids can help with dry skin ultimately. And then of course, do not underestimate the power of consistent use of a moisturizer. I get questions all the time. Do we really have to use moisturizer? Is moisturizer a must? And I never really know where the person's coming from because questions on my YouTube channel and Instagram, they're, anonymous, more or less. I don't know you. So I don't know what your background skin type or your age or anything like that. But I would say a lot of people are fine in their younger years not using moisturizers. Their skin is maybe even oily, super oily, and not as dry, and they're fine without using them. But once you get into your 30s, you might find that you really need to start using moisturizer to help address some of these issues that go on with just age-related changes in the skin. And I always recommend that you guys apply moisturizer. I tell my patients to do this. I mean, it's really a game changer for skin hydration. And I mean, it really can change the look of your skin. It's a simple thing. Whenever you cleanse your skin, after you rinse the cleanser off, while your skin is still damp, that's when you want to put moisturizer on because it's going to trap that hydration in and reduce transepidermal water loss. If you towel dry off the skin and then put moisturizer on, it's kind of just making a film on there. So that's the best way to do it. I will list down below in the description box some of my favorite moisturizers. The next thing that starts to show up on your face in your 30s is volume loss in the face, around the cheeks, the jawline, for example. This has to do with the fact that our skin is just not as good at turning over and kind of dealing with environmental stressors, and our skin loses collagen and elastin a lot more readily as we get wiser, and we start to experience some bone loss as well. So some volume loss has nothing to do with actual skin. In your 30s is a time to really get serious about your lifestyle habits if you haven't already dialed them in. And I think in our 30s, we have a tendency to be struggling with balancing things like family life, work life, all these demands, and we tend to neglect ourselves. So we might start gravitating towards convenience foods, cutting out hours of sleep to get more stuff crunched into a day. We're super stressed out and short-tempered, and all those things really can show up on your skin and accelerate the rate of not only skin aging but total body aging. Exercising regularly, eating a diet that includes fruits and vegetables to combat some of the free radical damage, and not smoking, of course, that depletes the skin's antioxidant system, and getting good quality sleep so that your skin can heal and recover is all really important. So as I've always said in all of my videos, the lifestyle factors go so far, and in your 30s, really make them a priority. The other thing that you can do to combat age-related volume loss in the face, of course, which you should be doing already, is to wear sunscreen and protect your skin from the sun. A lot of the volume loss from the deeper layers of our skin is due to ultraviolet radiation upregulating enzymes in the skin that chew up collagen and lead to deep wrinkles and sagging. So definitely protect your skin. And of course, another ingredient that you might elect to begin incorporating into your skincare routine in your 30s is topical vitamin A, whether that be in the form of a prescription vitamin A like tretinoin, or an over-the-counter like adapalene, or a retinol. I've got videos talking all about the differences between these different ingredients, so check those out. But when topical vitamin A is used consistently, it can increase collagen production in the deeper layers of the skin, firming the skin and improving the look of wrinkles and fine lines. It also has a variety of other benefits that will help with some of the issues that show up in your 30s. It can help ultimately with skin barrier function with long-term use, so you may note an improvement in some of those issues related to dryness. The number 4 thing that may arise, although not always, and it may be a new issue for you, is cystic acne. Acne in the 30s, in adult women especially, is increasingly becoming more and more common. This has to do with a lot of things, namely hormones, maybe just certain lifestyle factors that kind of influence your hormones more so in your 30s, things like maybe starting and stopping different forms of oral contraceptive pills that can impact hormonal signaling in the skin and cause hormonal breakouts, pregnancy, lactation, and a big one that's definitely an overriding theme in our 30s is stress. Those stress hormones can increase oil production and lead to hormonal acne breakouts. And of course, our diet can also play a major role in those hormonal breakouts. Processed sugary foods, they can really impact the rate of oil production and acne flares in the skin through insulin-like growth factor signaling. I have a video on how sugar affects your skin, so definitely check that out. But my tip would be to, again, focus on some of the lifestyle factors to help manage stress and those stress hormones. Make sure your diet has good fruits and vegetables and whole grains, things that are rich in antioxidants and aren't going to spike your blood sugar like convenience foods. As far as helping the acne, you have to be careful. I think people get really freaked out when they start experiencing hormonal acne or cystic acne in their 30s, and they run out to the drugstore and they try a bunch of different acne things, and they're really frustrated. Maybe they don't stick with one for a long enough period of time. They're going back and forth. The skin is already more susceptible in our 30s to dryness and irritation, and so they don't have good success with a lot of the over-the-counter acne products. I encourage you to see a board-certified dermatologist because there are prescription treatments that certainly can help. Prescription medications may be needed. Things like spironolactone or an oral contraceptive pill or topical medications, these can all be useful. But new onset acne in your 30s is a really frustrating thing to experience, and trying to self-treat it often you'll find yourself more frustrated. So I definitely encourage you to see a board-certified dermatologist rather than trying to fix it yourself. The next thing that tends to become more problematic in our 30s is our skin is just more susceptible to irritation. Irritation from skincare products. And getting back to the acne, you may find that even if you had acne as a teenager, some of the acne medications that you might have bought in the drugstore and used that worked for you as a teenager or a young adult are just too stinking irritating now. The skin becomes less tolerant to external factors. Part of it has to do with the age-related changes in skin cell turnover and skin barrier function. A source of skin irritation that people may not really be aware of is just simply the act of cleansing your skin. Perhaps the cleanser that you're using is too harsh, the one that you've always used, and you might want to consider switching to a gentle cleanser. I will list some down below in the description box. Another thing that you might consider doing as you get into your 30s, if you find you're more prone to irritation, is reducing the frequency of cleansing your skin to just once a day, ideally in the evening. You know, many people enjoy washing their face twice a day, and they find that it's beneficial, and I say keep doing it if it's working for you. But if your skin's dry and prone to irritation, consider dialing it back. It's not mandatory that you wash your face twice a day at all. And I say wash your face in the evening because throughout the day we're exposed to environmental factors on our skin like pollution that can cause a lot of free radical damage, and so good cleansing at nighttime is important to remove all that, along with any cosmetics and of course the sunscreen that you should be wearing. So that's why I say in the evening time, but consider switching to a gentle cleanser and just washing your face once a day. That can really help. And then take a look at your skincare products. Try and minimize the number of products that you use. That too can really help. The next new onset fun thing that can happen in your 30s on your face is you're more prone to redness and flushing. Specifically, you may find that you develop rosacea. Rosacea is a common chronic inflammatory skin condition characterized by a hypersensitivity to things that come in contact with the skin, like skincare products, and it flares with spicy foods, hot liquids, like my favorite here, irritating skincare products, and the sun. This doesn't happen to everybody, but you know, this is around the time when it starts to present. It's in your 30s. And the best thing that you can do is to see a board certified dermatologist for help. There are prescription treatments that really are great for this condition and can help a lot. Things like topical cilantro are a game changer for many patients. I have a video on that medication, by the way, if that is of interest to you. But that, of course, would be a great place to start. And given that this condition manifests with a hypersensitivity to things that come in contact with the skin, you really want to be super conservative with your skincare. Stick to products that have minimal ingredients. I always recommend the Vanity Cream line of products for people with rosacea as a good starting point because they're free of common irritants that aggravate rosacea. And of course, protect your skin from the sun, which you all should be doing anyways. But with rosacea, it's it's a must because UV, including UV that comes through window glass, will flare the rosacea. And the last thing that you may start dealing with more and more in your 30s is hyperpigmentation. Especially if you have a medium to deep skin tone, this may be really a source of frustration for you. For example, sun exposure over your lifetime can start to show up in the form of little dark brown sunspots on the face, like on the cheeks. You might start noticing those. But also, if you happen to simultaneously be coping with new onset or recurrent acne, you might find that that acne heals with a dark mark, and it takes longer for that dark mark to go away than it may have when you were younger. That has to do with the fact that as we get older, our skin doesn't turn over as efficiently to clear that hyperpigmentation as we were able to in the past. One thing that is so important for this, as with everything, is sun protection. UV exposure is what drives that hyperpigmentation. And UVA is a part of the sun that actually comes through window glass and can drive that. Beyond ultraviolet radiation from the sun, the other factor that we have recently learned plays a major role in hyperpigmentation, especially for people with medium to deep skin tones, is visible light, specifically blue light. And blue light mostly comes from the sun, the visible light that comes from the sun. So it mostly comes from the sun. That's mostly what is going to impact you. It's not the same as ultraviolet radiation. It's part of the visible light, the light that you see. It can cause early onset and more persistent, more stubborn hyperpigmentation, we have now learned. Really important to protect your skin from those wavelengths as well if you're trying to improve or minimize the risk of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation or dark marks. How do you do that? By protecting your skin, of course, from the sun, which is the major source of this blue light. The ingredients in sunscreens that will protect you against that blue light are going to be a large particle zinc, which you'll find in mineral sunscreens, or iron oxides. Those are great ingredients. And also protecting your face with sun protective clothing like hats, scarves, that can really make a huge difference too. Beyond sun protection and wearing sunscreen, the other thing to consider incorporating, again, for hyperpigmentation is going to be a retinoid. Retinoids can help put the brakes on the processes that lead to upregulation of abnormal pigment production. They can help in clearing out those sun-damaged skin cells, and then you get the added benefit of, with long-term consistent use, they boost up collagen production in the deeper layers of the skin. They help control acne. So those are some things that you can look forward to in your 30s. I hope these tips were helpful to you guys. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.